Hello and welcome to another Chatbox podcast. It's episode 50 of the Chatbox podcast here today. How are you doing? Right, let's crack on. As you know, each week I have a guest to talk about their career or job. So let's crack on with this week's guest. It's broadcaster Andy Livingstone. Hello Andy, welcome along.
Hi Ben, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
That's good. 5 questions about your broadcast career here today, if that's okay.
Yeah, excited. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome, sir. Episode 50 of this series, I think it's 73 of the year, so yeah, let's crack on.
Some big numbers, Ben. You're racking up the numbers. It's brilliant.
I'm aiming for 100 by the end of the year.
Oh, you'll easily do that, I'm sure.
I'll hit it out the ballpark. A bit like Michael Jordan in Space Jam.
I've not seen the new one. Have you seen the new one?
The original.
Is that the original? Oh, yes,
Yeah.
because it's LeBron, isn't it, in the new one?
Yeah.
Right on with the culture, as you can tell.
Yeah, because I normally watch lots of films, you see, and I normally do a bit of radio work in between and podcast work.
I don't know how you find all the time.
People still recognize me, but people don't really recognize me. I don't have the celebrity lifestyle yet.
Yet. I like that, yet.
I can still go down the pub and get a drink without anybody asking me for an autograph.
Can I have your autograph?
Maybe, yeah, who knows? If I'm famous enough, yeah.
Yeah, well, it just now, it'll be worth something one day.
Yeah. Where shall we start then?
Yeah, let's crack on, yeah.
Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
Like so many, it was hospital radio. Well, I suppose technically, I'd kind of had a passion for it and always wanted to do radio right from being a small child, even as young. I remember being 7 and me and my friend Mark set up a little radio station, which we called AM/FM, which I thought at the time was inspired because it was Andy and Mark. And then when I got old enough to start with hospital radio, I did that and started there in Rotherham, Radio Nightingale in Rotherham.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant way to start your career.
It is. I actually didn't realise that Rotherham had got one, and then through circumstance, I was there visiting a family member. And I'd walk past, because you couldn't see into the studio in Rotherham. It was just two doors and an on-air sign outside. And I remember seeing the on-air sign and thinking, I wonder what goes on in there. And then after a few times walking past, just one night, I literally knocked on the door and asked. And then and that's how it all started.
Brilliant. That's the way. Who was in the studio at the time?
My first show that I worked on was, and I'm still friends with him now, it was a guy called Paul Fleer, and he did a show on a Sunday called the PGF Sunday Show, and I went on there reading requests and things out to start with, and as I say, I'm recently got back in touch with him through Facebook and been talking to him again recently, which is brilliant. But yeah, that was quite a long time ago now.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant way with your career.
So many people get the start on it, and it's such a good training ground and a way to get experience. And even from my perspective, the things like going around on the wards collecting requests and meeting people and being a literal person face to face with people, because I've never been the most confident of people really, so I used to find that quite challenging at first, and it's really good to build your confidence and learn the trade and learn a bit of the people side of it as well, which is really good.
Yeah, and that's brilliant, learning the people side. I learned in radio, and I took all the elements on board, and I tried to take some elements into my different shows.
Yeah, it's wonderful to, because that's the thing about it, with it being, because it's so personable, and we'll probably talk about that in a while. That's one of the great things about it. You almost become friends with the listener, even if you've never met them in real life. You become friends with them, and I love that about the medium itself.
Brilliant, yeah. You become friends and you get to know them.
Yeah, you become part of the daily life, and you just breed that familiarity, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Question 2. Who were your broadcasting inspirations growing up?
I'd have to say the big one and the obvious one has to be Terry Wogan. Just an utter legend at the job. Such a talent to make it so easy, and it seems so easy. It's not easy, but to make it seem so easy. That was one of my biggest ones. Although I'm not quite old enough to know, excuse me, to know too much of the early days of him. Kenny Everett actually is one of the radio pioneers that I'd always looked up to, and seeing the documentaries on, and just how he used to produce the shows and make his own songs and skits and jingles. It's just magical to watch, and I love that creativity from it. And then more locally, I was very much a Hallam FM fan as a kid growing up. So all of the old Hallam names that you'd think about. We've talked about Martin Kellner, Howard Pressman, some of the big kind of 80s names at Hallam. And then I just followed Hallam right almost up to present day, really. I don't listen to it as much as I perhaps should these days, but it was always my go-to when I was younger. And then when I was at school, this is very distinct in that in 97, I'm aging myself now, but in 97, that was my last year at school. And in the last weekend of the summer holidays, I injured my knee and spent most of the last year just in a room with textbooks because I couldn't get around school. And that allowed me to listen to the radio a lot. And there was a guy on Hallam at that time called Simon James. There was Simon James and Hill. They did the afternoon show on Hallam. I think they did some stuff on air and national stuff as well, maybe. I think he did Kerrang and a few others. And it was Simon James that I really remember listening to one day and thinking, this is brilliant. I'd love to do this. And that's what set me off on the road shortly after being knocking on the door of the hospital radio. And they were very much, all of those people I mentioned have been big influences on me. I hope that there's little kind of glimpses and hints in my shows of these brilliant people.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant way to start. That's a brilliant way to talk about your influences. One of my influences, as I've said before, one of my big influences, and the first person I ever heard on radio was Kirsty, when she was on Galaxy Capital with a Daily Dose, if you've ever listened to that.
Yes, sure. Absolutely. I remember Kirsty doing the drive on Hallam as well. And in fact, I don't know if you remember, do you remember the Cheeky Monkey song? Does that ring any bells with you? Because I feel like I'm the only person in the world that remembers that.
Yeah, you'll because she knows a few mutual friends of mine, you see, like Carl Kingston, Bruno Brooks, Neil, obviously.
Yeah.
Because she took over from him on the Pepsi chart.
Yeah, that's right. That was
with another lady who was on Blue Peter called, if you remember her name, Katie Hill.
Yeah, Katie. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That was just kind of as a cover, I think, at first, and then she got the gig full time, didn't she?
Yeah. And then she got dropped, obviously, because Bauer didn't want a Yorkshire person because they were launching their own chart.
Yeah. Yeah, always been a fan. I'd love to meet her actually and catch up. I reckon she's just the type of person that you could just sit and have a laugh and a chat
She
with.
knows mutual friend she knows of yours, probably Steve White.
Yeah, they're
Steve.
close friends. I should do really. Yeah, perhaps that's a thing I should do. Just get an introduction through Steve. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, there was a guy on the radio a few months ago called Alan Beswick.
Right, I kind of know the name.
I think he did up in the northeast.
Right.
Or York area, because he said he took off a Justin Timberlake track and he's kind of said a few curse words about it. What a load of rubbish that was, he said.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I've listened to radio quite a bit, and there's a lot of great presenters out there.
There is so many.
And there's also a lady from Sheffield who I'm hoping to get. She's on Boom, and she used to be on the BBC, Diane Luke.
Oh yes. Oh, again, know the name from Hallam, so I've not followed more recent stuff, but yeah. Oh, she's got such a beautiful voice. Is she?
She's friends with me on the Facebook.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I might check out your friends list then, Ben, and do a few ads and see if I get a look, if people will have me.
Yeah, because also Bruno's on my Facebook as well, because, and Sean Tilley is as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I promised a friend of mine that I'd try and get him Bruno Brooks.
That's brilliant. Well, if you ever feel the need to do any introducing, make sure you drop my name into some conversations, please.
Yeah, I'll introduce you to Bruno sometime.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, because you'll probably talk to him if you ever listen to him in the Radio 1 days.
Yeah, of course.
I was listening to his old tapes because Sean Tilley's doing a Radio 1 50th anniversary special thing. And I was listening to his old tapes from the House Martins because he used to do the chart thing with Bruno Brooks. My Radio 1, it's called.
Right, yeah. Oh, I bet that's amazing. I'd love to hear some. I'm very much a bit of a sucker for some of the archive stuff, and there's a website, I think it's called Radio Rewind, I think, that has lots of old shows and clips.
Sean Tilley's uploaded it to his Mixcloud. I'll send you a link after this interview.
Brilliant. Yeah, please do. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, you'll have to. Which one's your favourite out of my previous interviews?
That's a tough one, Ben. There's so many. I think through the personal connection, I enjoyed your interview with Sean Goldsmith, and as we've just mentioned, Howard Pressman and Steph as well, Stephanie Hurst. I love how fun and talkative Stephanie was. That was a real fun one. Yeah,
and also a lot of other people. Sean Tilley's quite talkative as well.
I'll check out the Sean one. I've not really done them in order, I must say. I've just kind of cherry picked as I've been going along. So
And the Jim Coulson one, he can talk forever because he has a lot of stories to tell about Hallam FM. He's got an original Hallam FM mug.
Has he really?
Yeah, his old Hallam FM mug.
Yeah, I might make that my next one actually then.
That
Hallam focus. That's got to be good.
That was the only thing I think he took when he left. He only took the Hallam FM mug and he left everything else.
I used to have a small collection of Hallam mugs, and I don't know what happened to them.
If ever I had to leave a Bauer station, the only thing I'd take with me is one of the mugs.
There's a group on there's an independent local radio group on Facebook. I don't know if you remember of it, Ben, but there's one of the regular posts on there is people showing the different mugs that they've collected, and it is just wonderful to see. I'm
part of the radio independent group.
Yeah, have you seen all the branded mugs that people have got? There's something incredible.
Are you a member?
Yeah.
I think Sean Goldsmith's a member.
Is he? I'm not sure. I've not.
Chris Marsden's a member.
Yes, I've seen Chris post in there.
Because he did about his new Wire One studios the other week.
Yeah, they're doing really well, the postcode stations.
Yeah, because and there used to be West Yorkshire FM with Glenn Pinder. If you remember Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn's another name that I remember, yeah.
He's been on this podcast.
Has he really?
Yeah,
I've not noticed the name on you.
Guy.
That's another one to check out. Like I said, said to you at the beginning, just before we in the little chat before we started recording, it's I kind of some of the names and the people that you chat to and that you've interviewed, and I was just checking beforehand that you'd got the right person, because I was like, does this guy really want to chat to me? This is brilliant.
I want to chat to anyone. I want some actors.
Some actors, do you?
Yeah, I'm trying to track down Chris Tarrant at the moment.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, well, that's a good crossover for radio as well.
Because he's a radio legend as well.
He is, yeah.
He was one of the Capital breakfast show hosts.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Neil used to deputise for him when he was on doing Millionaire.
Is that right?
Dr. Fox used to be him when he was doing Millionaire.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
And I think he lost out to the job to Johnny Vaughan, Neil Fox.
Right, yeah. Yes, I forget Johnny Vaughan's a radio guy now.
Yeah, and after that he went to Magic.
Your knowledge never ceases to amaze me, Ben.
Because over in your region, you used to have Trev Thomas as Magic presenter.
Yes, yeah, that's
right. And then
in
Leeds, they had Glenn Pinder, and Hull, they had Darren Leatham.
Right, yeah.
And then it became networked, and Trev Thomas did a bit on Magic. He did a bit on Chesterfield Radio.
Yeah, one of the names that, as we were talking about, that I was, well, just humbled and honoured to be part of the lineup on Chesterfield. Just to see my name on the same schedule as people like Trevor and.
Have you met Sean before?
Sean, not in person yet, but only because of COVID. Talked to him a lot, but
have you been in the Chesterfield radio offices yet?
Not yet. No. I know that the last. Paul was just building a wall and putting some sound tiles up last time I saw. So I've not been down yet. But as soon as I can.
Sean still does a show on your station.
Yeah, I think he was continuing on with the Sunday morning kind of request show, the Play What You Want show. I believe he's still doing it. I'm not sure whether that's the case or not, but it was a shame that he's not done breakfast. It's really helped.
I think he's getting a job, I've been told.
Yeah, maybe different times these days, and he's still working a lot on Virgin and covering for Greatest Hits and stuff. So
Steve Priestley,
he's a busy man. But I have a lot to thank Sean for, because he's really helped me and mentored me this last kind of 12 months or so on Chesterfield, and really brought my confidence out. And it's mainly because of Sean. I must say, if when you get somebody as such a long-standing professional broadcaster as Sean, kind of messaging you and saying what's good, also
did you
saying
ever
what can
listen
be
to him
improved
on
on.
Peak?
I did, yeah, of course I did. Yeah, it's one of my it was one of my locals. Peak. It was actually when, in the early days of starting out, I had a couple of kind of gold stations that I'd like to have worked on. Peak was one of them, and weirdly Minster FM in York was another. I think I just believed that they were a bit smaller than Hallam and that I'd have more of a chance.
Howie Pressman was at Minster.
Was he? I never knew that.
He used to be a program controller, I think.
Oh right, yes, actually, yes, that's that rings a bell now. Yeah.
Listen to the Chris Marsden podcast and you'll find out a lot more about that.
I will do. I'll make that. I should have a pen and paper to write down the next few podcasts I should listen to in order.
What did you think to the going off tangent here? But oh well. What did you think to the Kim Harrison one?
Brilliant. It was I'd not heard of Kim before, and she came across as such a fun and personable character. I instantly looked her up on the social media, and listened to her shows, and yeah, she's brilliant. Really, really good.
She was mentored by a friend of mine. Yeah, because there used to be a guy who worked on Radio Air who now presents Our Look North over here in Hull, Peter Levy.
Yes, yeah.
If you've heard of him.
I have, yeah, of course, yeah.
He used to work with Martin Kellner and all them lot. So one of my co-presenters said that I'll look like James Whale very soon. Yeah. Question 3. What is your favourite part about the job?
Well, I think we touched on it before, in that it's, of all the kind of the media, I think it's the most personal. I've always treated it as just talking to one person, and not kind of as not although you're broadcasting to hopefully many, to always address and treat and talk to the microphone as if it's one person. And I love that connection about radio that you don't really have in some of the other types of media. It's so one-to-one and so intimate and so interactive as well, especially local radio. I have so much fun on Chesterfield Radio with some of the comments and people that listen and send me little emails and messages to just wind me up basically while I'm on air, and I love it. And I don't think there's many areas of broadcasting that you quite kind of get that connection. I just love it about it. I'm also quite an introvert, so being just on my own in a soundproof room with nobody around, that appeals to me as well very much. And the creativity about it as well. I enjoy constantly thinking of ideas, testing them out, seeing if they work. Most of the time they don't, but every now and then you get one that really sticks. And yeah, I love it. But I think it's definitely the favourite bit is just the one-to-one, the personal element of it, and talking to people, and becoming a friend on the radio. I think it's wonderful. You can't do that in many other places, I don't think.
Brilliant, yeah. And as I say, I love the radio. I like to be locked in a studio. Have you ever played Phil Collins' Easy Lover on the radio?
Oh yeah, many times. Yeah.
Do you ever get the do you? Yeah, because I remember that one of my memories is from Phil Collins' Easy Lover is when Neil Fox played it on his breakfast show. He went on about the drums that he played when that song came out.
Yeah, air drums. It's an incredible air drum song.
He said he used to just play the drums along to it, and he says,
yeah,
and he says he was he said he was playing the drums along to it when that song was a hit.
Yeah.
And he said he used to just play it in the radio studio, I think, the drum beat.
That's brilliant. I think I've said many times, I mean, obviously we're on the Zoom now and I've got the camera on, but I think if I'd got some kind of webcam on when I'm presenting my shows, people would have such a laugh because I stand up, sit down, dance, air drum, air guitar. Really get into it.
Voice tracked or live?
I do bits of both. Just depends. Just totally depends.
Are you getting up? Will you be broadcasting from the studio eventually?
I think so. I think as things start to get better, I'll definitely spend some time down there. I'm very happy in the home studio setup, to be honest. But yeah, I do miss that as well. There is an element of it since COVID and all this has happened, that we have been a lot more isolated. That a lot of it has appealed to me and my kind of introvert personality, but I do miss the option of going into a studio. There's something special about going into a premises and into a proper studio, not my little makeshift thing that I've got here in my garage, and doing a show. So I'll definitely excited to see, especially the Chesterfield setup. I think that's going to be wonderful. I'm so lucky to be down on Storeford. It's great.
Yeah, it's a bit like, because you have a rival station, well, not a competitor, called North Derbyshire Radio.
Yeah, I've not heard much of them. I'm aware of them, but I've not really listened.
They have presenters like a guy who used to be on Viking called John Ishelwood. Right,
yeah.
And Naz Premji.
I remember Naz, yeah. Yes, that's right, yeah. I remember seeing on their Facebook page, I think, some posts from Naz. I follow so much. I follow so much on Facebook. I lose track sometimes.
They're not really rivals. They're just you're just helping each other in the community radio game.
That's it. That's all you've got to do. I don't think it's quite the environment now where there's big rivalries. I think different community stations bring different things to the table, and they just give the listener plenty of choice. I do enjoy what we do at Chesterfield, of course. I will say that I love it there. The music that we play is great, and we've got a great array of presenters with so much local knowledge. It's amazing, way more than I have really. But there are community stations. There are so many community stations now that it's not a rivalry kind of situation. It's a choice situation, I think, which I like. There's got to be a bit of friendly rivalry, I guess, especially if you're going for revenue and things.
Because over here we have a company, we have a chart show. Well, we have our own chart show called the Humber #1 for local artists.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. I love that idea, yeah.
And it gets the people to vote. At my station, we do that. The Humber #1, we see what songs they like.
I love that. That's such a good thing.
You should do it at Chesterfield Radio, like the peak #1.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. So are they all kind of unsigned, new up and
Just
coming
local
artists?
singers from Hull and the surrounding areas.
Right, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you should. Yeah, like your Chesterfield Radio should do something similar.
a good idea. It's a good idea. There's plenty of talent in and around Chesterfield. It's
You should
not a
go
bad idea
in
at
the
all.
Peak region.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I will. Again, I'll make a note and I'll mention it to the powers that be. Good idea.
Yeah, which is it that Paul guy who's in charge?
It is, yeah. Yeah,
Paul Rigsdale.
that's right. Paul Ragsdale
I'm sending a demo off to him in a couple of weeks.
is the boss man. To come on to Chesterfield.
To do a syndication, as I said earlier, sorry.
Of course, yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, do it.
I'm sending it off to 7 different stations. But I'm going to say, if you want it, I'm going to have to charge you for it.
Yeah, yeah, that's nothing wrong with that.
Because it's taken me about 3 weeks to produce with all the gaps and that.
Yeah. Yeah, these things take work. They take work and they take a lot of time, so why not? Good luck with it. I definitely say to try. You've got to try.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Question 4. How has COVID affected your life and line of work?
Well, it's been one heck of a ride, hasn't it, this last 18 months or so. Because radio has been more of a part-time thing for me more recently. COVID's actually helped, and it's given me more time to do more radio. Because for my day job, like so many people, the office closed. I was furloughed for a while, and so on. So I had lots of time, and I focused on getting back into doing some more radio stuff during that time. So that's been a real positive in the radio context. Of course, from as a family man, spending last summer effectively at home with the kids, and that's time that it's such precious time, and time that you'd never, certainly I would never have normally had working as much as I do. So grateful for that. Now it's changed the whole landscape of it all. We're working from our homes and our spare rooms and our garage studios, and as we mentioned earlier, Neil Fox doing a national breakfast show from his shed, which is just incredible. Sean presents on national stuff on Virgin and stuff from his cupboard under the stairs, literally a cupboard under the stairs, which is just, I find it just so fascinating.
The only one he doesn't do from the cupboard under the stairs is his Bauer programming.
That's right, yeah, because that's still local based. So yeah, but just
up the motorway.
That's right. But just to have the option of and the technology and the life now that we've got of being able to do this kind of thing from a spare room, and it just it's opened up so many possibilities, which I think is a real positive. I think so anyway. We do miss the studio setting, of course we do, but I do enjoy the flexibility of having your studio at home, and I guess you do as well, Ben, with doing all your interviews similarly, and the technology of things like the Zoom and the like. It's amazing, really. You can talk to anybody in the world whenever and make programs from it, and it's just brilliant.
The furthest in the interview setting I've been is New York, New Jersey.
Is that right? See, it's just wonderful. I think that's so good. I wouldn't guess how many miles there are between us right now. What would we say? Probably 60 or 70, maybe.
In a COVID secure distance, though.
Oh, we're very socially distanced. Yes, I think we're safe. I think we're all right.
I'm just pretending I've travelled to Sheffield.
Yeah.
I've virtually travelled up the motorway.
Virtually, you're in the same room, and it's wonderful.
Yep, but not in the same room like I did with Kim Harrison.
But not. Yeah.
And others. Like
yeah, I really enjoyed the chat with Kim. I think she's really good.
What did you think to the Stephanie Hurst one?
Excellent. Having known of Steph's radio work for a lot of years, it was really cool to have
You
that kind of
recognise
insight.
the immersion in the interview a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because she was a radio idol of mine, and my mother liked her as well, and me and my mother used to listen to her growing up. And now my mother's no longer here, so when I interviewed her, it was a bit emotional, so that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, such a connection.
Yeah, because she liked Hursty as well, you see.
Yeah,
And I remember
definitely
the song Yorkshire. Do you remember the Yorkshire song?
Yeah.
As it's Yorkshire Day today, she put it on her Facebook.
All right, I've not seen.
No, she put the lyrics.
Yeah. Oh, I'll check that. I've not been on much today, so I'll check that out.
Yeah, because she's a legend because of all. And I actually said to her, I hope to meet her one day.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I think.
If I'm honest with you, if she's listening, I'd end up giving her a great big friendly hug.
And I'm sure that would be reciprocated, Ben, because I definitely saw how natural and how lovely the conversation was on your chat with her. So why not? And she seems that kind of person anyway.
She knew. And if I ever met James Whale, he hadn't been very well, and he was having a go at the other day anti-vaxxers on his radio show.
Was it really?
He had a massive go at anti-vaxxers, and he put the phone down on one of them, and he said, I'm getting sick of you lot calling me about anti-vaxxers. And he said, if you want to know whether you should get the vaccine, just go and ask your doctor.
Fair enough.
And he says, go and ask your doctor for the advice, because they're more qualified than me to answer your questions.
They're the ones that know. Yeah.
And he just put the phone down because 100 people tried ringing him.
Really? Crikey.
That's why I like him, because he's still one of those original radio presenters that breaks all the rules but never gets told off for it.
Yeah, that's true. But it's riveting listening.
And he does it in a way that he gets more listeners. So he don't get sacked. He does it in a way that he gets more listeners.
That's it. Yeah, so
he does it in a way where the production, no disrespect, doesn't tell him off for it.
Yeah, it's incredibly clever.
And he does it, and the producers were just with laughter when he was shouting and bellowing. because he had someone on. He was talking about other stuff as well, because he does his show from home at the moment. And his co-host does it from the studio, but he comes into the studio once, I think, every month.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
And does a show from the studio once every month, and the other times he just does it from his home studio.
Amazing. You see another radio legend working from home. It's fantastic.
But he had to because he wasn't very well, if you've heard.
That's true, yes. Yeah, I did know that, yeah.
And people were saying to him not very nice things to him this week about things.
Sometimes.
And he just laughed it off and said, he just laughed it off and just said it was anti-vaxxers and he just said, go and consult your doctor. That was all.
I didn't know it, yeah.
He just insulted them back. He fired back. They tried insulting him, but he just fired back 10 times stronger.
As he does, as he's always done.
Yeah, nothing can upset him because he's been through a lot of tragedy over the years and happiness, and haven't we all? And I like James Will. He's one of my broadcasting heroes, and that's why I like him, just because he's come back from the brink of things. Yeah. And he's getting on with the job in hand.
Yeah, he's just completely sort of unapologetically himself, and he just does it his way, and it works, and it's fantastic radio.
Yeah, and there was an ex-guy who I'm not going to, a guy called Alex Belfield, if you've heard of him.
I've not heard of Alex, no.
Bit of a controversial figure.
Right.
He likes to rant about, he's got an attack on a certain big corporation.
All right. I think it's worth a Google, this one, Ben, at some point.
And I'm not going to reveal who, but you'll probably know who. A big corporation that a lot of my friends work for.
Right, yes.
And that you have some connections to.
Understood. Right.
And some of my people who I've interviewed have big connections to. And it's a big national corporation that does radio, television and everything.
Yeah.
So you'll probably have got the hint by now.
I've got you.
But I don't like him. I hope the police catch him out for who he really is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I must say I don't really know much about it, but I will, after our conversation, I will have a little bit of research and look and see.
And I really hope he gets. I really hope the people who he's upset get their justice. Get justice for him being a thing. And he rants about the government as well.
Right.
He just likes to shout his mouth off, basically. And think he's better than everybody else.
Do these days.
And his best friend is Jim Davidson.
Right. Well, I think that speaks volumes in and of itself, I think.
Do you understand why people get angry at him? Yeah, anyway, moving on. Have a done question 4.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, as I say, I got a bit emotional in the Stephanie Hurst interview.
Not at all. I can completely understand why.
She's one of my broadcasting heroes, and she's one of my privately celebrity crushes, if I can reveal that. There's her and Kylie Minogue.
Well, excellent taste on both.
You can understand why.
I can.
Yeah, because I like just because. Oh well, it's life. And anyway. Final question on my list. What advice would you give to young aspiring broadcasters who are starting out?
I would say I'd kind of say this is in two parts really, and one would be to do as much as you can in terms of shows, production, background work. Just practice, because practice is what practice makes perfect. And the more you do, the better you'll be, and that's the way to go forward. The other side of it would be, and this is a kind of a touch autobiographical, I would say, in that I apologise if you heard that big bump then. There's somebody, I think somebody's putting the bin out behind me. Home studios. But the other thing would be to just have a bit more belief in yourself. I think, I know personally, if I'd have received some of the mentorship and the feedback and stuff that I have in recent times, when I first started out, not to disrespect a lot of people that I learned from in the early days. I mean, I was very lucky to know them and still know a lot of them. But I would say just be confident, because I would have perhaps applied for way many jobs in the early days than I did if I'd have just had that little bit more belief in myself. So just give things a go. Have confidence, give things a go, and practice, because that will also build your confidence. And the better you get, the more confident you'll be. And just put your name out there. Do as much as you can and get your name out there.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. That is, yeah. Brilliant. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us, Andy.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get sidetracked quite a lot.
Not at all. It's been a really nice chat. I really enjoyed chatting to you, and it is genuinely a pleasure to be on your show with so many other amazing guests as well. It's wonderful.
This will be available on my Wix website, which I'll put a link to in my social medias later on. And it may even go on YouTube with your permission.
It can, no problem at all. Yeah, I will be sharing as many links as I can for you as well then.
Cheers. And loads of other broadcasters will love this podcast as well, because you're an inspiration for Andy.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, please give it up. But for now, please give it up for Andy Livingston. Do join me again soon for another podcast. Thank you for watching and listening. But for now, that's a wrap.